Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. The greater the claim, the greater the proof. This is an argument that atheists use, or agnostics use, to say that nothing exists. And specifically, they sit on a big throne of do nothing, other than nitpick and pick apart any and all arguments that are thrown at them. And they just, if they can't disprove it, you just simply say, well, you didn't prove it, so you didn't meet a burden of proof, and I don't have to because mine is more likely. First thing is, it is not more likely that we are not alone. Let's get that right out of the way right there. That is actually quite a ridiculous claim to make, that we're not alone. And so I would say, if you're using the rationale that the greater the claim requires the greater the proof, then quite frankly, you're the first one that needs to be in line there. And you say, oh, well, come on, that's just bull. You have to, if you're saying there's some magical fairy out there that's creating things, you need to prove it. Well, why? Because you said your claim is more likely. I'm saying you're full of it. And this is why. First off, we know that there's trillions of planets in this universe. And just in the observable, we know that. That's a fact. That's an observable fact. Anyone that follows science knows that's right. Now, that means that millions to billions of planets, probably billions or more of habitable planets, exist in the known universe. And that's what's known. And you say, well, we can't go through what's not known because we don't. We do know some things. We know that past what is observable, there is something. Now, does the universe have an end to it, or does the universe go on forever? Well, I happen to know personally from my contacts that it does have an end, and I know what's past it. But let's say for the sake of argument that you don't know. Now, one case is the universe goes on forever, just like it is here. In that case, instead of billions of habitable planets, you would literally have an infinite amount of habitable planets. You would have, if the universe went on forever, you would have no end to habitable planets. You just have to go far enough out to get there. That's not the case, though. The case is the universe does have an end. And once you get past it, though, what's out there? Well, an infinite amount of time and space in which you can have universes. And so, if you're saying that this universe had a natural or an unnatural start, either one, whatever started this universe, are you saying that there is no possibility, none, that any other universe could have ever existed in the literal infinite amount of time before we got started? And the infinite amount of space. Saying the same processes, whatever they were, that started this universe could not have just as easily started another 1 or 10 or a dozen. Keeping in mind that you can fly in that direction for literally ever, and it will never stop. So in infinite space and infinite time, when you make the claim that there is nobody here, nobody created the universe, nobody seeded life here, nobody is managing this life, you are making the claim that there is no civilization out there that would be doing it, that could be doing it. There's no civilization in the history of this universe and any other universe in any other potential place in time. Do you know the odds on that? Just looking at the odds. If you're looking at odds, you have to understand, if you're even being the slightest bit objective, then you have to understand that it's a ridiculous statement to say that we're alone. And it's furthermore a ridiculous statement to say that this universe was created somehow naturally. Because quite frankly, if you're looking at the odds, chances are there was another universe. Now, I happen to know there was. There's been a number of universes. I know the civilizations. But going just by the chances, how long does it take for geologic time to pass? How long does it take for even evolutionary time to last when single-celled organisms take place? You're looking at millions of years for evolution. You're looking at billions, to trillions of years, of time that you're looking at universe creation, universes getting bigger, universes maturing, universes dying. But how long does it take science to expand? If you have one civilization anywhere at any time that doesn't destroy itself through violence, and it keeps going past the time of science, like how long would it take us, with our level of knowledge, to get to fly across the universe? What, 1,000 years? 2,000 years? It's just a matter of doing. It is possible. I know it's possible, as I know civilizations do it. But how long would it take? What, 5,000 years? 10,000 years? My point is, the more time I put in terms of years, we get exponentially better with science. And it's a blink of an eye for evolution and for geologic time. And so, how long do you think it would be before realistically our civilization, could have the knowledge it takes to just create a universe? Because you know that whatever process created this one, if you assume it was a natural process, then you have to know that something could, in theory, trigger that again at some other place. So, how long before we would figure that out? 50,000 years more of learning? 100,000 years more? My point is that you'd have to wait billions of years for it to do it on its own. You have to wait, even once you have a planet, you have to wait, a billion years for life to evolve on it. Whereas if you have science, you can find tricks to speed that up and to kickstart life. And so, quite frankly, if you say that the likely scenario is that we are alone, then you have biases that are extreme, and you have no business saying to anybody that you can sit there and judge things fairly. You have no business saying to people that, hey, you haven't proven your point. Because quite frankly, all you are is like a pigeon on a chessboard. If you take a pigeon on a chessboard, it's just going to knock over the pieces, poo on the board, and strut around like it's won. And quite frankly, that's what all y'all atheists are doing. If you're ignoring the obvious, that it is almost certain that we're not alone, because just of the odds alone, then you're just not being objective. You're just not. Now, I happen to have worked with civilizations that created stuff and that are managing this planet. You say, well, that's a ridiculous claim. Well, quite frankly, ridiculous or not, it is what it is. And, quite frankly, there's quite a lot of people that work with them too. Now, when you're looking at this world, one thing that you need to understand is the religious people, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to understand there's no mystical God out there. What it is it's advanced civilizations. That's how they've been interacting with us. And the reason is quite simple. Humanity wasn't ready for 100% truths. People that are primitive believe what people want, and that's superstitions. And if you're going to be reasonable, you just have to understand that, hey, the Bible was coming out of pagan and superstitious beliefs. And our ancestors were trying to shape that towards better things all they could, but they're fighting an uphill battle with humanity trying to make it as corrupt and brutal as all they could the whole time. And how it really worked is just, quite frankly, mind-to-mind communication is the default with primitive civilizations. You can pass very complex ideas to people without them even suspecting anything's happening. And it's mind-to-mind communication is actually really, really simple. It requires some AI computers with very rudimentary capabilities when you're talking about technical capabilities. It's really simple. How it works is mind-to-mind communication with AI assisted is the default. It's unnoticed. People don't even know they're being helped. And taking existing belief systems and updating them and changing them and putting as much truth in them is just how it works. So I'm sorry, the Bible is the best that could have been given considering how corrupt the planet was, but it certainly isn't an infallible book. What's the process is what's important, not the specific book. The process of us being helped by people that know better. That's what it is.